Hello and welcome back to our Pokemon Showdown team building. Today we are building a team around Typhlosion, and I am incredibly happy to be finally making a team around this. This is a Pokemon I wanted to make a team around for a hell of a long time, but I never got around to it because I think fire types are awkward to build a team around. Building a team around a fire type, you might think is easy. There's only 3 weaknesses you've got to worry about. Ground, rock, water. All of those are resisted by grass. So it's easy to pair something with it, but it's really hard to actually make a team around it, because it's so easy to pair with, if that makes any sense. But either way, we have Typhlosion here, the Scarf God. It's called Scarf God for 2 reasons. Firstly, because Choice Scarf Eruption is probably what it's best known for, and the second reason is because if I call it Scarf God, everyone I go up against is going to think, oh, he has a Choice Scarf Typhlosion with Eruption, and that's not what we're going to be doing. That is not what we're going to be doing at all. Instead, we're going to be having a Choice Specs Typhlosion with the Flash Fire ability. We're going to keep Eruption because honestly it's probably the strongest fire type move it gets. Admittedly, you could argue other fire type moves are better than it, like you could argue that Lava Plume is the best fire move it gets, purely because of the burn chance, but I feel like this, without a doubt, if you're full health, nothing is even coming near this, and this will one-hit a hell of a lot of things, especially in the RU tier. Other than that, we are going to be running Flamethrower because we're going to need a backup fire move in case we get to low health. We are going to be running Hidden Power Grass because, as I said, Grass deals with all of our weaknesses. It deals with Rock, Ground, and Water. And finally, the last move is kind of personal preference. You can run Focus Blast if you're worried about Dark types, Normal types, Steel types. Don't know why you'd be worried about Steel types when you're a Fire type. Or you can run Extra Sensory. These are the 2 best moves, I would say, you can run on a Typhlosion, and I think we're going to run Focus Blast for 2 reasons. Firstly, we don't hit Houndoom. Houndoom scares me. I don't want to be completely walled out by Houndoom. Secondly, Focus Blast is just a little bit more powerful on those things where we only have a neutral hit for best. So I'd rather have Focus Blast in those scenarios. So that is going to be our moveset. Our EV spread going to be pretty straightforward. Max speed, max special attack, hitting as hard as we can, not getting outsped. Pretty basic there. That is going to be Scarf God. Now, we need to actually build a team around this. This is where things get difficult. I said it myself. Grass is probably the best typing to look at to pair with this. However, pairing isn't making a team around it, and Grass has a lot of weaknesses. So making an actual team around Typhlosion I feel is a little bit difficult. We're going to do it though. So the first Pokemon I'm seeing that could be really good is Ludicolo, because it would 4 times resist the water weakness, it would resist the ground weakness, it'd be neutral to rock, which to be honest, that isn't too much of a problem. However, I'm wondering if Ludicolo is really what I want. Because with a grass type, if I'm going to have a grass type, do I want that to be on my water type as well, or would I rather have a separate grass and water type? There's a lot of things I'm thinking about. I'm also seeing Cradilly, but that would be neutral to all of those typings, so we are not having Cradilly. Torterra could be defensive rather than specially defensive. I didn't even think about which I'd prefer. Would I rather want a defensive wall as my grass type, or a specially defensive wall? To be honest, if we take a defensive grass type, we could take a specially defensive water type, and they would pair quite well. So I think Torterra also resists rock, which not a lot of other things do, so we're going to take Torterra. I do have a name for you. I know what I'm calling you Avor. And the reason why is because I saw someone else with this and I liked it. I don't really know what this means. I'm assuming it means something basic like tree, because generally that's normally what people name their Torterra after, as boring as that is. We're naming it Avor because that's a nice name. And you're going to have the Rocky Helmet. You're going to have... Do we need Shell Armor? We're going to take Shell Armor because not getting hit by a crit, it might seem like, oh, you don't normally get crit, but to be honest, that can really help out sometimes. So we'll run that. And for moves, we will run Synthesis for recovery, we will run Leech Seed for recovery, Earthquake for stab. We should probably take some Grass Stab. Probably being the key word here. Do we really want Leech Seed? I don't want Leech Seed. I would much rather have Seed Bomb and another move. Do we want this to set up Stealth Rocks? This is a Pokemon that can set up the Stealth Rocks for our team. I think we're going to set up Stealth Rocks with this Pokemon. And we are going to run max HP, max defense, defensive nature. You're going to be as defensive as possible. We don't need to use your special attack. And we'll put those last 4 points into your physical offense, just so you can hit that teensy little bit harder. You're shiny. Your shiny is ugly. We are not running you shiny. Okay. So I said it myself. A special defensive water type would be quite nice, because at the moment we have just picked up a Pokemon with a 4 times weakness to ice, and Torterra does not resist the water typing. So a specially defensive water type is basically what we need. Special defensive Lapras could work, not really what I'm looking for. Lantern, as much as I love Patches, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I don't need a second ground type weakness, so no. Politoed outside of OU, because Politoed with Drizzle is OU, I think. Normal Politoed is not. Do we want a standard Politoed? Although if we were going to have a standard Politoed, why wouldn't we run Slowking? Because Slowking's basically just better. We would pick up a little bit of a Dark and Ghost weakness. But we can fix that later on in our team. I think we're going to run Slowking. This looks quite nice. So, Leftovers, why not? Regenerator, why not? Slack Off, why not? That's a load of recovery. Recovery is always good. After that, however, what do we want to run? Scald Burns are nice. Psyshock hits people on the defensive side rather than the special defensive side, which is a really nice thing to have. And for a final move, we could run Calm Mind. That's definitely a possibility. We could start Calm Minding, it would boost our special defense, boost our offense, it'd be quite a nice thing to have. This Pokemon gets Flamethrower. Why does this Pokemon get Flamethrower? Look, could run Flamethrower. The moves are pretty much endless. We could run Power Gem, we could run something really weird that people won't expect. Or we could just run a safe Ice Beam, we could run a safe Toxic. We have a lot of different options. That is for certain. What Pokemon would really wall out a Slowking? I'm thinking Dark types. I'm mainly thinking Dark types. Is there any Dark types that resist water? Not really. You know, I think Water and Psychic are actually going to complement each other quite nicely, and I think that's all the coverage we're really going to need to hit everything for neutral. So I think we'll actually take Calm Mind as our last move. And we will put our points... Well, you're being specially defensive. Although, if we're making... I'm taking that back, because I want to make use of its ability Regenerator, which means I want to swap this thing out if we start getting low. So, actually, a move that would probably be a little bit better might just be something like Thunder Wave for Tech. It might be better just to tech something like Thunder Wave Toxic on here, rather than worry about the coverage, and rather than worry about setting up. So I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to take Thunder Wave, and I did not mean to change that. You're still going to be especially defensive as you can be, and that looks nice. We have a little bit of tech on this. I like that, and YouTuber reference, let's see if anyone picks it up. It's not that hard. It's really not. So, continuing with the set, we have fast special, slow defensive, slow specially offensive. These two complement each other reasonably nicely, apart from that Dark and Ghost weakness, which I did mention. So, if we could pick up a strong Dark type with some reasonable defenses, that would be nice. Houndoom, your Fire type, not looking at you. Shiftry, no defense. Absol, no defense. Drapion, only weak to ground, but I don't really want to pick up another ground weakness just yet. If we are going to pick up a ground weakness, I don't want it to be anytime soon, because at the moment ground is not a huge problem, but it affects our start. Scrafty, on the other hand, Scrafty, that could be fun. We don't have a fairy weakness yet, in fact we have one resistance to fairy. Would add a double up on the flying weakness, but as long as we take care of that, we should be fine. We're going to take a Scrafty, and you can definitely have some setup potential. You can have the Moxie, you can have the Dragon Dance, you are definitely going to run Drain Punch, because I think it's the best fighting move ever. You can definitely have Knockoff, because I think that's probably the best Dark-type move ever. And finally, what else do we want to run on this? Do we want to run Rock Slide for flinches? Do we want Ice Punch for coverage? We didn't run Ice Beam, so having Ice Punch would be kinda nice on something. So I bet, or do we want Poison Jab for fairies? Oh, I think we want Poison Jab for fairies. I really think we want Poison Jab for fairies. What fairy types are in this tier? Let's have a quick look to see how important it's going to be. Togetic, not the most fearsome thing in the world. Mr. Mime, not the most fearsome thing in the world. You know, there's nothing like Florges that can come in and stop us. There's no Whimsicott with Moonblast. There's no Sylveon that's going to Hyper Voice us. So I don't think Fairy's as much of a threat. So I think, actually, you know what, we are just going to take the Ice Punch. I feel like the Ice Punch should be enough. We are going to run as much into speed as possible, with the rest going into your physical attack, just so we can Dragon Dance hopefully once, and that should put us in a nice position. And another reference right here. We're going to see how many references we can put into this right now. Okay. Now it gets a little bit more difficult. We have physical special. Our physical special split is looking nice. We have picked up a little bit of a flying weakness, so if we could fix the flying weakness, we'd be in a pretty good situation. So, if we could take an electric type with potential to Volt Switch. I'm looking at a potential Volt Switcher / U-Turner, and a Pokemon that gets either Rapid Spin or Defog. Those are the two criteria I want to meet. So, electric type. A strong electric type. Preferably not weak to water. And it needs to not have a secondary typing like Rotom Mow that would make it neutral to grass. It needs to resist, not grass, flying. It can't be like part grass type because we need it to resist flying. So, what I'm seeing right here, just from looking through really quickly, I'm seeing Magneton, and that 4 times resists the flying, which would honestly wall out most flying types. I'm definitely thinking Magneton could be a huge pickup. Plus, it can use Eviolite, right? Yeah, because it can evolve into Magnezone. We're doing it. We're running Eviolite Magneton right now. Do we want Magnet Pull? Is Magnet Pull really going to be useful, or do we want to run Analytic? Because you're pretty slow. Base 70, but we're not going to be investing into your speed. So I think, you know what, we're going to run Analytic. We are going to run Flash Cannon for your Steel Stab. We're going to run the Volt Switch, because that was why I picked you. We're going to run the Thunderbolt, because why not? Having a strong electric type move is nice. And finally, do we just take Explosion? I think we do. No, we don't. No, don't do that. Don't ever do that. We could run Tri-Attack, but that move isn't wildly useful. Hidden Power Fire would allow us to hit Steelix and other Pokemon like that, so I think we're going to run the Hidden Power Fire. And that set looks pretty much ideal to me. Doesn't matter about that 1 IV in speed, we're not really speed invested. We drop a little bit of special attack because we need the Hidden Power Fire IVs. You know what, that doesn't sound too bad to me, that looks good. And we will name you Triforce because I have no other name for a Magneton. I don't think I've ever used a Magneton in my life, as saddening as that is. Now, for our final Pokemon, we can pick up anything as long as it resists. No, it doesn't even need to resist anything. We don't have too much of a weakness. I'd prefer it to resist ground or be immune to ground, and I'd like it to be a defogger. So I would like a flying type, like Aerodactyl could be okay, Braviary could be okay. Golbat's in this tier, I know that. Golbat could be okay. Yeah, there's Golbat. Honchkrow, maybe not so much. It's a little bit frail. I mean, it could be good. We already have a Dark type, what am I on about? Sigilyph. No, we don't need that Dark and Ghost type weakness to be expanded. I'm looking at Aerodactyl. Out of all of the choices, Aerodactyl is what I'm looking at the most, although that would be another water weakness. We do have resistance to water, and only 1 weakness. I guess Triforce can deal with water types. I guess it shouldn't be too much of an issue. What other types do we have a weakness to as such? We have 2 Pokemon weak to fighting, but we have 1 resistance. And fighting doesn't really do much to Torterra in my opinion, because it's going to be defensive. You know what, we're doing it. We're running Aerodactyl. I'm in the mood to run Aerodactyl. You're going to have a Focus Sash, because I feel like you are frail. You are going to run... We're not going to be running anything that's going to require Rock Head, unless you get Head Smash. Do you get Head Smash? Do not get Head Smash. Okay. Yeah, we are not running anything with Rock Head. If it got Head Smash, Aerodactyl would be broken. I feel like Pressure is probably going to be the most useful ability here, just in case we need to stall Sucker Punch or something, I don't know. But we will run Defog, because that's why I picked you. We will run the Rock Slide or Stone Edge. I mean, with its speed, we can really make use of Rock Slide's ability to flinch, so I think we'll take Rock Slide, plus it has the accuracy. We will take... what else do we want? We'll take the Earthquake. Earthquake's nice and powerful. And I think finally we could actually tech Ice Fang. Just in case of anything crazy, because we don't really get any good flying stab unless we want to do like Power Herb, Sky Attack, or you want to run Sky Drop. So I think finally we are just going to tech on here Ice Fang, and that looks good to me. We're just going to call you Terror. There we go. Name's done, and you actually look really funny shiny as you're being shiny. Magneton, what do you look like shiny? I've never seen you shiny. I have mixed opinions on this. I like it, but I think I prefer the original. Purely because I don't like the fact that the magnets all go black. If they kept the magnets as red and blue, I would be okay with it, but why get rid of the thing that makes the Pokemon as it is? It's a magnet Pokemon. If you get rid of the magnet coloring, then it ruins everything. You look like a leprechaun when you're shiny, so you're not being shiny. I think that's the only shiny. And I think that is also going to round out this team. So it feels to me like we've made a very hyper-offensive team, but at the same time, we really haven't. Because we have 4 Pokemon that are really slow, but they're still strong. All of our Pokemon have a really hard-hitting ability behind them. Like, they all have a stat that's... all of their attack stats are pretty good, is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's going to round up this team building. If you guys have enjoyed, leave a like down below, hit that subscribe button, it really helps out. And without further ado, bye!